Joining me in studio right now, big announcement that was made yesterday. Lubbock City Councilwoman Karen Gibson announcing yesterday it's time for a new campaign, and she's running for county judge. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
Congratulations on the announcement.
Thank you.
What led you to decide, you know what, this is the time to run for county judge?
Well, a couple of reasons. Number one, I've been on council, will be 2 terms. In May will be the end of 2 terms. I think 2 terms is plenty. It's kind of a self-term limit, if you will.
Right.
And the time is just right. I'm not done with public service. I love what I do. I've never made a secret of that. I absolutely love what I do. And the time is right now for me. It's a good jump to for cooperation between the city and the county. I have a great relationship with Jarrett. I have a great relationship with the council now, the mayor. It's a good time for Lubbock. It's a robust time for Lubbock and Lubbock County. We can work together. We can spread those resources and stop some duplication, I think. Mm-hmm. It's just a good time to look at that, see how that will work together, make these resources go further for everybody.
Right.
For everybody. And I believe it's just a really good step and a good time for me.
One of the questions that I got from a friend of mine was, why go to, for county judge instead of county commissioner? And I'm sure, when you're looking at, for the commissioner's court, mm-hmm. what goes into that decision to run for one versus the other?
Well, there were several. Number one, I'm in Bill McKay's district. Or precinct, and he's not up.
Right.
And I could have run against him. I don't know that would have been the thing to do. I would have had to vacate my seat. I did not want to do that. I want to finish my term. And that was one reason I didn't run for mayor.
Right.
I told the people I would run for 2 terms, and when they elected me the last time, I'm going to finish this term. So that was one reason I did not run for the commissioner's seat there. This one, of course, we've heard the rumor that Judge Head's going to retire. Sometimes he does, sometimes he doesn't, but I'm going to go with he's going to. It's a good time for me to do this. It's a very good time, and I feel like my leadership skills and my experience on council with the city side can be brought over. Not that I want the county to look like the city. That is not what I'm after, but I do believe the cooperation needs to be there.
So what does that relationship look like now? Because obviously you're on the council, you've been on the council. What is the relationship between the county and the city, and how can it be improved?
I will tell you it's so much better than when I first came on council. So much better. Of course, Sheriff Rowe and Chief Stevens work very well together, and so that relationship has grown tremendously with the police and the sheriff's department. That is coming along very well. Mm-hmm. But I do think we have lots of opportunities, even possibly in roads. Let's talk streets and I'm not talking about on the inside, but on the outside where you've got, let's say, a pothole right inside. Instead of dispatching, and this is just one example, Chad, but instead of dispatching a crew from the city, if you've got a crew from the county right there, fix it.
Yeah.
It'll come out in the wash. And same way on the city side. If you're right there fixing it and you see one on the county, fix it. But I think, things like that, instead of drawing the line, the territorial line, mm-hmm. that I dislike that so much because we're all in this together. And I'm sorry, I keep hitting that. And everybody within the city pays county taxes.
Right.
We all pay county taxes. So I just think that relationship needs to grow stronger. Our emergency services, all of it, just every piece. And I'm sure as we get into it, I'll learn more and more and more. I'm not going into this thinking I know everything by any stretch. I do know there's going to be another big learning curve, just like it was on council. I'm not fooling myself at all on that, but I'll learn more and more.
One of the things that one of the areas I guess that you brought up yesterday during your press conference was roads, and that's something that you hear from a lot of county residents, when are you going to take care of roads? When are you going to take care of roads? It's a big area. There are a lot of roads that need to be taken care of. I think you brought up Woodrow Road yesterday. And you mentioned that, I'm sure, for a specific reason. Talk about that a little bit. And then also, as county judge, if you were to win, would there be a renewed focus on roads? Would there be better communication? How does that work?
Well, from my perspective, let's talk about Woodrow Road first. I feel like, from my perspective of Woodrow Road, I feel like it should have been looked at possibly 5 years ago. It's just like Upland. Upland caught up with us quick, but I had been yelling about Upland for 5 years. And it's just, it almost seems like they're deer in the headlights. Oh no, they're all, the people are here and we don't have anything done.
Yeah.
And no one has said anything up to that point. And I just feel like, that should have already been in the works. It should have already been going. It took, like I said, 5 years to even get anything done on Upland. And now we're moving ahead and we're going to have a 5-lane road, but you're behind the 8 ball now.
Yeah.
And it's the same way on Woodrow, and that's a very dangerous road. Everybody knows that. County, city, we all know that. That's not a secret. So stuff like that. But I think, as far as the county roads, I think bar ditches are a huge issue where they've been, the roads have been graded and just those bar ditches have been filled in. There's nowhere for that water to go. That's where that water has to go in the county. So I think that's been an issue that people have been talking to me about. They don't have anywhere for that water to go, so those roads just stay covered. Now, I understand there's only so much equipment. I understand but I do think it's time to sit down at the table and say, okay, but where's the plan?
Yeah.
I want to see the plan.
Well, and I think that county residents want to see a plan.
Yeah.
That there has been, it just seems like every time you have a commissioner who is up for election, you hear about roads. We need these roads taken care of. We need this area taken care of. And you never really hear a plan from the commissioner's court. Mm-hmm. Do you feel the same way?
Well, yes. And I think that's one of my frustrations. And of course, being from the city side, we're constantly planning. We're planning 5 and 10 years out, and roads. Being on council with Tom Martin, that's what he taught me roads.
Yeah.
And so that was a big thing with him. And so that's obviously a big thing with me. But I've not ever seen an actual plan for the county. I do continue to hear that the money's tight. And the money's tight everywhere. That's another reason those resources need, where we can, let's use them together and make those resources go further.
Right.
So
when we come back, we'll continue our discussion with Lubbock City Councilwoman Karen Gibson, running for county judge here in Lubbock County. We'll be right back. Chad Hasty Show, KFYO. Back on the Chad Hasty Show, News Talk 95.1 FM, 790 AM KFYO. In studio with me right now, Lubbock City Councilwoman Karen Gibson, who is running for county judge here in Lubbock. Made her announcement yesterday, kicking off the campaign. And let's talk about one of the other issues that you brought up in your press conference yesterday, and that is the budget process. Mm-hmm. Obviously, for county judge, that is a big chunk of, and a lot of people may or may not know, but for a county judge, that's a big chunk of the job. Mm-hmm. Is the budget process. Talk about that.
Well, Lubbock does have an auditor. We are large enough that we have an auditor, but I still feel that the judge's job, because the county judges in Texas, the budget is their job. So even though we are large enough to have an auditor, I still feel you should stay very connected to that auditor and work with that auditor on the budget. That's a large portion of the county judge's job. I also think communication with every department throughout the year is so important, not just during that budget season.
Right.
And that's just something I do now. It's something I would take to the county and just work with these departments with every touch point of that budget throughout the year, what you got coming up, planning ahead. I just think that's so important to see what's coming.
Is that different from what's happening now? From what, because I know a little bit of research goes into when you're going to run. What's different between what's happening now?
I can't speak for how they actually do it, but I do know that they have meetings with their department heads right before they start having their budget sessions. So I don't know if they just have I know they have their budget season. But as far as the rest of the year, I cannot answer for them.
You want to make it, though, to where you're always in contact.
Well, I think the budget starts the year after, or the day after the budget's passed.
Yeah.
I do. I think the next year's budget starts right then.
One of the issues that the county commissioners and the county judge that they've come under fire for, seems year after year after year, is voting themselves a pay raise. They have voted themselves another pay raise, and the yearly salary now for county commissioner, $81,340. For county judge, it'll be $118,920, and I think there's some extra things in there as well. If you're elected county judge and the issue of a pay raise comes up, which most likely it will come up again, what would you do with that?
I'll be very vocal against it. The way I look at that is, you're a public servant. You are a public servant. Now, a county is paid. I get that. But you're still a public servant. You're an elected official and you're in public service. And you hear the flip side of that, well, it's the only way you're going to get a raise. Well, I disagree with that. I think if you're going to put a raise in there, put the raise in there for the next time you're elected. Earn it.
Yeah.
If you're doing your job correctly, you will be voted back in with that amount. I mean, to me, that's the way it should be.
Do you think voters, when they look at not saying anything about the current county judge, but when they hear the figure $118,000, the folks that you've spoken to in the county, do they think that they are getting their money's worth right now? And how do you, if you win this election, how do you earn that? How do you show that you're earning that money?
I haven't really asked that question. I do think that might be a great question. I haven't really asked that, but I do think you have to earn it. I think you have to, first of all, be out in the county visiting with the people. I think you have to find out where your issues are with the people, not the media, not pictures. I think you go out and you talk to the constituents. I think your door has to be open and your phone line has to be open. I mean, I get my phone number out now. I get phone calls every day, Sunday too. But I think if you're not tied to the people and you're not listening and you're not trying to work through the challenges every day, you're not doing your job.
Let's talk meeting times. This is something that some folks have brought up. You were on the council, Lubbock City Council, when this was also being discussed about morning meetings versus afternoon, / evening meetings. Right now, county commissioners meet in the morning. It's not well publicized, probably not well attended, because it's kind of a pain for people to make it at, any time after 8 o'clock in the morning to a meeting. As county judge, would you push for a change in meeting times?
I believe in my heart. I think you have at least one in the evening. Yes, I think that's important. Once again, you're there for the people. You're not there for you. You're doing the people's business. And I think if you want them involved, you're going to give them a time to come. Even if you just have maybe one a month in the evenings, give them a chance. When we did it for the city side, everyone said, well, it'll be the same people. Well, it's not. We have much more attendance in the evenings. And it took a while. It took a while for people to even know that we were doing it in the evenings. But yeah, I think you give people an option, maybe one in the morning, one in the evening, if you want to do the change to where you can have both.
Right. When one of the last times I had you on the show, it was about property tax reform. You have two county commissioners who were against property tax reform. It ultimately died down in the legislature. You were okay with it. Yeah. You were okay with what the legislature was doing. As county judge, moving into the county role, would your views on that differ, or would you look at what the legislature was trying to do and say, hey, you know what was good for when I was at the city council, now's good for the county?
No, I think it stays the same. My view on that does not change. It just like I said before, it's not gonna touch Lubbock County either. We're not going to hit that 5%. City or county,
right?
Either one. So my views on that, it's still the people's money. Whether it's city money or county money, it's still the people's money. So no, my views on that does not change.
When it comes to safety, obviously that is a big role of the budget for the county. It is a big role for county commissioners and looking at public safety. Sheriff Rowe has been very vocal about drug issues hitting Lubbock County, about the crime issues in Lubbock County. Is that a shift that, or anything that you have to take a renewed look at going from the city level to the county level, and how does that work?
Public safety is a huge part of the city budget. Public safety is a huge part of the county budget. I don't know that my view changes. I don't know that anything changes. I do know that I would have to sit down and look at it and obviously go through it with Sheriff Rowe, but I don't know that my view changes at all. Public safety is public safety. I don't care if you're looking at it from a city view, a county view, a state view. Citizens deserve public safety.
What do you think you can take away? Obviously, you have the budget. Besides the budget, what can you take away from your time at City Hall and take over to the county level?
That's a great question. Council is nonpartisan, and so we're not supposedly we're not supposed to be part of a party. But the different views on council have been tremendous over the last 7.5 years. And we have worked through so much, and I have learned to work through so many different points of view and compromise, communicate, all of that together. To me, that's a big asset to take to the county and to take to the commissioner's court. And I'm not saying that they don't. Don't get me wrong, that's not. But I think somebody coming in green on that, I just have an advantage, in my opinion, of 7 years of already having to do that compromise and that communication of learning how to balance that.
You and I have had discussions before about the Lubbock City Council and, if you were going to run for, something else. And one of the things that you brought up is you didn't want to leave too early.
Right.
From the Lubbock City Council. Leaving now, or you're going to serve out the rest of your term, but leaving at the point where you're leaving, do you believe that the city council and the city itself is moving in a good direction?
I do. I think the city is in a very good place. I think we're moving forward. The council this is a great council. We've got a wonderful city manager. He is very progressive, but he's very good, and he works well with entities. He works well with the schools. He works well with tech. This is the first time I've seen that whole gamut of everybody working together, and I think that's why I'm so excited about doing something like this and getting everyone involved.
Councilwoman Karen Gibson, running for county judge here in Lubbock. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.